Media Days is sponsored by Huntsville Trucks. Media Days is sponsored by Huntsville Trucks.
Welcome in, everyone. North Alabama, the Tennessee Valley. Thank you so much for joining us for our 48 Now SEC recap. I'm your host, Carl Prather, joining you as we get you prepared for the unofficial start to the college football season. So 16 teams in the house throughout the week here in Atlanta, Georgia. 4 of those teams introducing their respective programs to the media this week. And we start with the Bayou Bengals of LSU. We had the opportunity to hear from Brian Kelly and 3 student athletes. Kelly discussing his signal caller, Garrett Nussmeier. And when you have a quarterback of the caliber of Nussmeier, you expect some big things heading into the college football season. Remember, LSU coaches in yesteryear, Nick Saban, Les Miles, and Orgeron all won national championships in their 3rd seasons. Brian Kelly entering into his 4th season and arguably may have his most complete roster on offense and defense. But it all starts with the signal caller under center and one Garrett Nussmeier. We heard from Brian Kelly earlier this morning.
He's waited for this opportunity. He loves LSU. And so you want to follow a guy like that because he's got all the things that you're looking for in a player. Committed, passionate, focused. He's got leadership ability. And he can whip the ball around the yard when you need to. Now, the thing that he brings to the table, as I've said in many of these settings, experience is the best teacher, and he's got experience, and he's got some adversity that he had to overcome along the way. I will take that kind of quarterback anytime in the SEC, because when you go on the road, when you start with Death Valley, you bring a freshman into Death Valley, you better be ready for the backup to get in there too. That's my point, is that experience and a guy that has the traits that represent LSU is our starting quarterback. How cool is that?
Yeah, you may have heard experience is the best teacher, and what better way to gain experience than to just get into football games within the Southeastern Conference under center and learn on the job. And that's what Garrett Nussmeier did last year, throwing for over 4,000 yards under Brian Kelly in Brian Kelly's 3rd season. Tough, stiff test to start the year. When all of our preseason polls come out as we head into week 0 of the college football season, the Clemson Tigers will be in a number of top 5 rankings in the country heading into the season. LSU will make a trip from their respective Death Valley to the Death Valley in Clemson, South Carolina, as they take on a very talented Clemson Tiger team and a quarterback that's one of the best in the country as well under center in Cade Klubnik. Hey, we want to just send a big shout out to our SEC Media Day sponsor throughout this week. It's none other than Huntsville Trucks. They've done a stupendous job with us throughout the week and through the week as we get you prepared for the start of the college football season. Moving from one elite quarterback to another that has been on an unbelievable trajectory during his career, starting last season in Columbia, South Carolina. And it's none other than Lenore Sellers. In South Carolina, what an unbelievable run the program had a year ago. 9 wins on the year, a tough loss to Alabama on the road. And from there on out, won the rest of their football games in the regular season and had an opportunity to be in the discussion for the college football playoff. We had an opportunity to hear from their head coach as well today, just discussing none other than their respective signal caller and Lenore Sellers, who aims to continue to move in the trajectory of potentially bringing home a Heisman Trophy.
I think it's just our fans. They play like a significant role. Just when teams are on offense, they're super loud, chaotic, and then they're staying in it like pretty much the whole game. It's not like it's high or it's low. It's kind of like no matter what, they're always loud and then into the game.
Yeah, Lenoris is extremely talented. Over 900 yards rushing on the ground, throwing the football as well. A lot of weapons at his disposal this year, and why not? You enter the transfer portal with looking for some playmakers and some dynamic playmakers for that offense, and Shane Beamer and company appear to have just that this year. Now, granted, lost a lot on defense, some very key figures. Raheem Rocket Sanders, a running back a year ago. Don't forget some talented guys in Kennard at defensive end that played exceptionally well. But they also have potential, as I like to say, game breakers or erasers. Lenore Sellers one on offense, Dylan Stewart on the edge on defense as well. So there's some really nice building blocks there for Shane Beamer as he enters year 5. Remember, Shane came into a program that had just 2 wins when he started his first season there, and all he did was take that program to a Mayo Bowl victory and 7 wins in his first year. We shall see if they can make another leap past 9 wins heading into this upcoming season. We continue to discuss quarterbacks because they are the star of the show this week. What's really cool, everyone, about this week is that the SEC and these respective programs brought their stars. It's a quarterback-driven league, as we all know, throughout any levels of football, but especially here in the Southeastern Conference this year because we have a lot of elite signal callers that are dynamic and can change the course of a football game through an entire season, much less a game as well. One of those quarterbacks, you saw him last year. It was none other than Diego Pavia. And Diego had an outstanding first year under center for Clark Lee and his program in the Music City in Nashville. All Diego did was help lead the Commodores to 7 wins, including a historic victory against the Crimson Tide of Alabama at home last season. We had an opportunity to hear from one Diego Pavia as he discussed the season that was in the Music City.
Being in the training room more, that's something that I worked on in this offseason, just to make sure my body's prepared, because after that game my production kind of fell off. And I got to be there for my teammates, and so they'll expect a lot out of me this year, and, we can't wait for this great season.
Yeah, Diego mentioning the Kentucky game last season where he kind of got nicked up there injury-wise. Kind of wasn't the same there. I know football players, as you continue to move through a regular season, injuries are part of the game. Nicks and bruises are part of it as well, but Diego just didn't feel like he was right as he got ready to go through the second half of the regular season last year. Expecting to have another big year does help. You have one of the elite tight ends in all of college football, Josh Skowers, that will help shoulder the load a little bit on offense as well. Dynamic running back as well, one of the most underrated running backs, arguably the most underrated running back in the league at running back for Vanderbilt as well. Clark Lee's just continuing to make inroads to building this program to his identity from the administration being on board with that as well, with infrastructure, a new stadium, and new upgrades across the landscape and the facilities across the campus of Vanderbilt University as well. So exciting times. If you're a Commodore fan, exciting times if you're just a college football fan. We love to see teams continue to build to a crescendo, as we like to say, and hopefully continue to rack up more wins in the process. Once again, wanted to mention a big shout out to Huntsville Trucks, who is sponsoring all of our SEC Media Days coverage here for 2025 here in Atlanta, Georgia. We couldn't do it without them, and we truly appreciate their support today through the rest of the week as we head into Thursday's final day. With that, we're going to toss it back to our own AJ Weiss, who's in our 48 Now studio there, getting ready for a lot of Q&A with yours truly as we prepare for day 2 tomorrow with 4 teams headlined by none other than the Auburn Tigers.
Well, hello, Carl. Hope you're doing well out there in Atlanta, Georgia for SEC Media Days. I do want to get more into the individual teams you heard from today, but first, kind of describe the state of the SEC right now. I know you heard from Commissioner Greg Sankey earlier today. What did he have to say?
Yeah, that's a great question, AJ. So a lot of the discussion had to deal with just the landscape of college football as a whole. We all know that the landscape of college football has dramatically changed just the last 30 days, much less the last 5 years. But with his State of the League address earlier this morning, Greg Sankey discussed a myriad of topics, including college football playoff expansion. Remember, the Big Ten and Tony Petitti, the commissioner of that conference, and Greg Sankey have a memorandum of understanding to kind of lead the way to potential expansion starting next season. I know a lot of rumors and discussions and hot takes have been discussing move from 12 to 16. We shall see if that indeed happens, but for college football fans, it doesn't happen if the Big Ten and SEC are not pushing the envelope toward potentially moving to that. So that was one of the big topics. And more importantly, of course, we all understand the transfer portal. We understand the new House settlement that's come down in the summer months. So I know that there's maybe some uneasiness there. We do have some sort of cap with $20.5 million there, but there's still a lot of questions with it just being fully available on July 1. So he discussed that as well. But overall, I think the general message that I got, and just an opinion on my own, I think the college football is as healthy as it's ever been, and you kind of heard that from Greg. Yeah, there's some uncharted waters here. It's all new for everyone, but ultimately, the state of the game relative to monetary value has never been as great as it's been right now.
That's right, and kind of going off of that, last season, obviously the SEC was extremely competitive. We saw SEC teams beating down on each other, but yet the conference did not make the national championship. How much would you say the SEC has to prove this season in college football?
Listen. I think that everyone understands that the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten are your two powers within all of college football. I hate to say that the SEC has to prove anything. My goodness, look at the number of national championships they've won since the inception of the BCS National Championship. You can go all the way back to the BCS Bowl era as well. And then, of course, during the inception of the 14 playoff, now that we're in the 12-team playoff, the SEC has proven year in and year out more times than not that they are the standard in all of college football. So I hate to get into maybe something that they have to prove, but what I will say is that ultimately, overall, the state of the SEC is as good as it's ever been. Quarterback-driven league this season. Very interested to see some of these playmakers under center being able to kind of maybe raise the level of their team when maybe their respective team is not playing exceptionally well during the game. But when you have guys that can make plays under center, it can take you a very long way. So I'm very intrigued with individual players under center for SEC teams in the league. Diego Pavia, Lenore Sellers, Garrett Nussmeier, you name them, Taylor Green over at Arkansas. You name a lot of these quarterbacks that can change games and change lives for these programs and give you 1 to 3 wins maybe when you weren't able to have those if you didn't have that type of dynamic playmaker under center could be all of the difference. So listen, I think the league is going to be highly competitive. I think the league will have multiple teams in the college football playoff this season, and the sky's the limit for just the programs as a whole throughout the league looking to try to make a run and a push to return back to a college football national championship game.
That's right. And Carl, what you didn't mention, you mentioned Vandy, South Carolina, and LSU, but I also want to hear about Ole Miss. Ole Miss, talking about quarterbacks, they lost their quarterback, Jackson Dart, this offseason when he was drafted in the first round by the New York Giants. How do you think they'll regroup this year?
Listen, I think, AJ, if it was you, myself, or anyone maybe walking on the street here in Atlanta, I think if Lane Kiffin could have a few months with you, I think that we could be do exceptionally well under center. The guy, it doesn't matter. It's a plug and play with that offense and what he's able to do with quarterbacks. Jackson Dart, all he did in Oxford was end his career as the single season passing yards leader for the Rebels, and that's high company considering some of the greats that have played inside Vaught Hemingway Stadium over the years within that program. Listen, Jackson Dart is fantastic. Had a really solid career, maybe even a little bit underappreciated for some. But there's a young man named Austin Simmons that we don't know what this ultimately is like. No, I'm actually on live TV. Say hello. Really? I am. It's all good. Just a colleague within the business. Where was
Popular.
I? Austin Simmons. Yes. So for me, I know. Well, I know everyone's or trying to push me out of the way. AJ, that's what they're trying to do. No, listen, I think Austin, relative to like all of the talented signal callers that can just throw the football and just have immense talent, I think Austin could arguably, once we end the season, could be one of the very best, not only in the Southeastern Conference, but the country. I know Rebels fans and Georgia Bulldogs fans remember Jackson Dart goes down at that Georgia game in the rain, and all Austin Simmons does is come into the game during the drive, scores a touchdown, and kind of opens the eyes for a lot of fans of the SEC, fans of Ole Miss, understanding that they may have the future there, and the future is now for one Austin Simmons and Lane Kiffin and company. So we shall see what Austin is able to do as the full-time, unquestioned starter here. And he was here at the SEC Media Days and did an outstanding job taking questions from the media throughout the day.
Well, Carl, sounds like you're having a great time out there. You keep at it, and I'll see you again same time tomorrow for a recap of day 2. If we have any Auburn fans here in the Valley, you're just not going to want to miss tomorrow, as we'll be hearing from Coach Hugh Freeze. So make sure to tune in. But anyway, thank you for tuning in to SEC Media Days, sponsored by Huntsville Trucks. I'll see you all tomorrow, and have a great night.
Hey, man. I was like, what is he? He has no clue that I'm on TV right now. No. It was